Hey everyone! So I'm finally getting around to doing my Rogue One review. I was talking about doing it a few weeks ago, but then I started talking about something else after Carrie Fisher's death, and that video became about something else. But I still really wanted to do a video about Rogue One because it was a great film. And I saw this morning that it hasn't really been nominated for a lot of Academy Awards, a lot of Oscars, which was weird to me because I'd have thought it had have at least gotten a few more mentions in there. That was a message coming through on my phone from my girlfriend, by the way, just in case you heard it. Yes, it is a lightsaber sound, so it was quite appropriate. Anyway, so I went to see this film about a month ago now with my best friend Mark, and it was awesome. It was great. I mean, the film's been out for about a month or so now, so I imagine that a lot of people who want to go and see it probably already have done. But if anything, I'm going to like save a section of this for spoilery type things. There's probably really only going to be one that I talk about, to be honest with you. But I'll say beforehand that spoilers coming up, so that if you do want to skip past it, you can do. Anyway, so the film itself is great. So if you don't know what it's about yet, for whatever reason, it's set right before Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, the very first Star Wars film that we ever see. And it's basically telling the story of how the Rebel Alliance get their hands on the plans to that very first Death Star, which is basically the plot behind the first film, is them actually destroying the Death Star. Well, getting Princess Leia back and then destroying the Death Star. But it's Rogue One tells a story about how they actually got those plans that are so important in that very first film in the first place. So it centers around a group of new characters. There are a couple, there are like a handful of characters from the original trilogy that make an appearance in this, but they're in very small roles. They're not featured roles. They're not in the film a lot, like one or two scenes. So it focuses entirely on a new cast of characters, all new people, who I believe some of them have appeared in the expanded universe, but I don't think it's many of them. The standout for me was, well, the lead character, to be honest, Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones. She was she gave a great performance in the film. I thought she was a great character. I thought she'd been written really well. She had a great story behind her. Quite a simple story in the sense that she's basically searching for her father and trying to get her father back, who was taken away from her by the Empire from an early age. There is a bit of a spoilery thing behind that about a part of the plot of the film, but I'm not going to go into it. So, and I just thought she to me gave a great performance in that role, and it was really well written and really well created a character, and I loved watching it. My other favourite from the film was the droid character in it, K2SO, voiced by Alan Tudyk. I know Alan Tudyk mostly from Serenity and Firefly and Serenity, the short-lived TV series and the film. And he's done a lot of voice work, and you can tell because the way that he voices the character is fantastic. He gives a great performance. Come to say that you're just hearing his voice. You know, it's great to watch, and also the character itself. It's funny in places. It's not overly funny. It's not like laugh out loud funny. I didn't think, but it's funny, and he's got a great little kind of arc in there. You know, there's a whole story behind him, and every time K2SO was on the screen, I loved watching him. So there we go. Overall, the film, it had a fantastic story. I thought it was very well written and well put together film. It showed the biggest thing for me about the film was how it showed the Rebel Alliance in there, because how we've seen them in the past it's always been more a case of like a squeaky clean kind of we're the good guys and we're perfect and we're all happy and yay. And they're not like that. They wouldn't be like that. They are a group of resistance fighters. They're fighting basically a war subversively. They're using spying tech, the spies, they're assassins, and they're gritty and they're quite dark as well. They have to make very questionable moral decisions as a resistance group, and this really shows that. I thought the tone of the film was a lot grittier and a lot darker than I think any other Star Wars films that we've seen, perhaps with the exception of Episode 3. That was quite dark, but this is very dark in a slightly more realistic sense, in that it's not about Jedi's versus Sith, it's about Resistance versus the Empire. So, and I loved it. I loved watching it. It did take a little bit of time for me to get into it. It was a bit of a slow starter, but when I got into it, I really, really got into it, and I really, really enjoyed it. Can't wait for the Blu-ray. It's going right up there on my shelf. Now, the spoilery thing that I want to talk about. It's just this one, and it's not huge, but it's the sort of thing that when you go to watch a film, when you see this in a film, you'll want to experience it without knowing about it beforehand. Because that's what I did. I experienced it, had no idea it was coming up, and I absolutely loved it. Darth Vader. Now, there's a scene, he is in a scene previous in the film, but the one for me that stood out the most was the one right at the end. Basically, the Alliance has stolen these plans, and they're on a ship. They're trying to get it to the escape vessel, which is, I forget the name of it, but it's the one that they're using. Bloody delivery guys interrupting my videos. Weird Amazon parcels just showed up. No idea what it is. I might tell you about that later. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, the Darth Vader scene at the end. So the Rebel Alliance is trying to escape with the plans. Darth Vader is pursuing them on foot throughout the halls of this Rebel Alliance ship. And basically, it's like one guy's got the disc, one good guy's got the disc, and he's running along, and they're trying to shoot at him, but he's just deflecting them with his lightsaber, and he passes it on to the next guy, and then that first guy gets cut down, and then the second guy carries on running, and they're still shooting, and God, and he's just batting people out of the way all over left, right, and centre, and then he passes it on to someone else, and then he gets cut down, and this is just going on for... It couldn't have been any longer than 30 seconds, I don't think. But it was such an impactful scene. It really was. It was so great. It was so effective. And it was good to see Darth Vader, as Darth Vader, fully armoured up, really just kicking ass. It was great. I loved it. Loved it. Made the film. Probably the best scene of any film that I've seen all year. So, with that in mind, taking into account the film as a whole, I'm going to give, out of 10, I'm going to give it did have a bit of a slow start, so I'm going to knock a little bit off of that, but I'm going to give it 9.5 blaster bolts out of 10. There we go. 9.5 blaster bolts. Any review that I do is going to be measured in something that is pertinent to that film. So with this, it's blaster bolts. And 9.5 out of 10. So, good job, Disney. Well done. And good job to the rest of the cast, because you all did fantastic. Right, so that's that review section of things out of the way. I came up with a bit of an idea for my channel over the last couple of days, which is going to be like a question and answer thing. So I wanted to put it out there that you guys, if you want, have the opportunity to ask me a question. It can be whatever you want. It can be, what's your favourite breakfast cereal, or it can be, what's the meaning of life? Don't ask me that, because I have no clue. But I'm going to be sharing this video on Facebook again, so you can probably best to message me on Facebook if you have a question that you want to ask. You can drop me a message on via text if I know you, whatever, that's fine. And you can drop me a message over eBay, but I don't really check my eBay messages very much because I don't really get any. So, and just ask me a bunch of questions, and I'm going to like save it up and build up like maybe 10 or so, and then in a future video just sit down with these 10 questions and answer them. So, pretty simple. There we go. I'm now going to go back to playing on Grand... No, actually, I'm going to open up that package and see what the hell it is, because I'm a little bit concerned. It might be a bomb. I hope it's not a bomb. Wish me luck. Do 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 do. Wally! It's finished! And he's awesome.